Oh yeah, welcome back, mere mortals, to another edition of the Mere Mortals. Today's Meanderings. I'm Juan. We've got Karen next to me right here.
Hey, what's going on,
We
people?
are the Mere Mortals. Meanderings is where we get to talk about a little bit of everything, whatever comes to mind. More on the lighthearted side than the deep content, but sometimes we drop some nuggets in here as
Lighthearted
well.
conversations with a deep touch.
Yeah.
We go opposite.
Yes, lighthearted with some deep conversations in there, some.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute caveat. Now, I'm going to start us off with my mere mortal moment.
Yes, please do.
Mine is, are you ready to be a criminal?
Ooh. What can you be talking about?
What are we talking about? Some hypotheticals.
Okay.
I think we've
Always
gotten
fun.
away. We're talking about this, meandering. Sometimes we talk about some serious stuff. And I thought of two little hypotheticals that I want to play by you. I want to get your ideas behind them. I enjoyed that chat about shooting down the people from the helicopter.
Yeah,
so
that was
there's
fun.
something around there that I want to discuss with you.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago.
Mm.
Okay, so mine is Stoner Juan is a paradox beyond mere mortal comprehension.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I've got a little bit of a story about some stoners that I saw recently at the park. And I might...
Is an equivalent one.
Yeah, no, actually, it's all just about this. So
Okay.
it's all about stoners and stoner people. And
Okay.
then, yeah,
All right, well, I'll get into my hypothetical first, and I'll want to hear yours. So,
sounds good.
it's a PSA here. Everything that we're going to be talking about, right? We're not consenting that we're going to do this. Like, we're not saying, like, this is what we're going to do. So if, like, anyone at any point
Speak
in
for
time,
yourself,
especially in the
mate.
future, like, if someone comes in and it's like, the cops are like, oh, we're going to get you in this. No, these are all hypotheticals. So here's my first hypothetical for you. And I'll try to describe it a little bit. And I want to, so you can ponder on it and get the right response.
sounds
So,
good.
because it just took me a while to think, and I thought of a couple of things. First, so imagine, right, sitting on this park bench right now, someone comes running by, looking around real dodgy, and they drop on you a bag, right? And you open it up. It's $1 million. It's $1 million, all in fat stacks.
Oh,
fat
fat
stacks,
stacks.
right? Now, what do you do? So, what do you do, and you're not being a good citizen of the world, not a good denizen? You wanna keep this money. You wanna keep as much of it as possible. In today's world, it's a little harder to launder $1 million.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's not saying that we're laundering money, and don't take this idea, obviously, criminals of the world. We're just, this is very hypothetical, and if you do this, probably the cops will come and find you. So how would you go about it? What's your thoughts?
Okay, so immediately I'm going into what you shouldn't do. So what you shouldn't do is probably spend it all very recklessly, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What you shouldn't do is flash the cash to anyone at any time. So no one is knowing about this. My family is not knowing about this. You're not knowing about this, unless you saw it, in which case I'm pretending you're not in this situation.
It's just showing your own.
So, look, every cop movie I've seen has criminals doing stupid shit by using the bills really quickly, by doing all this sort of thing. So
Buying like a luxury car with the money.
So I would probably be trying to spend the bills in a way where it couldn't be connected to me. So I'd be doing things which I don't normally do. So you can't like look at the past record history of like, oh yeah, Kyron plays soccer at this soccer club. He paid all in cash of these marked bills just in case they're marked. And then they're like, well, duh, what a dickhead. Let's go get him. So I'd be going for massages. I never go for massage, paying in cash.
Yep.
I'd be going for, I'd just be trying to go as far out as I can with it and spending it. And I would be spending it.
Okay, so you're saying you'd be spending it.
Okay. Look, if I'm not being a good Samaritan, I would need to spend it in some ways. So
so that's going to be the place.
yeah,
for it.
so like maybe that would include some giving to other people. But yeah, or
Yeah, here we
oh,
go.
okay. So what if I just said like, you always talk about, what would someone do for $1 million, or what would someone do for X amount of money? I would do that to people. I would go up and say like,
I've got $1 million.
no. So I'd just be like, how much would it cost for you to do X? And it would be, like some dude dressed in a suit, go jump in that river right now. How much would it cost? And I'd just try and bargain them down to a point where they're like, no, absolutely not. And then I'd just whip out that cash and be like,
Well,
do it. I've got the cash right here, right now. Maybe I'd film them as well, and then people
get the profit off the
and then people could be like, oh, but it's not real cash. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking real cash.
real cash.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the trend. Okay, so here's where my idea went. Okay, so I'm like $1 million straight away for me. It's I go move it from cash to digital assets of some. So I like in the bank.
So would you be worried about?
I'd be worried about it being the traceability of the notes.
Yeah, like the questionability of I don't know, does Australia have a version of the FBI? I assume we have some sort of
sure
thing.
we do.
Who cares? Bloody Australians. Probably just some yobbo and like a fancy hat.
Yeah.
And but would you be worried like, oh, this money, it's came onto me under dodgy circumstances? Would you be worried about getting caught up in a scheme or something like that?
Yeah, I think I'd be wanting to move away as fast as possible from the dodginess that I got dropped that money, whether it's from like cartel money or someone really big at the casino and they were being really happy and giving $1 million out to people. Like, I'm like, okay, all right, I've got to get rid of it. So my thought process, something that no one will suspect, but it's still gonna able to launder it through. So my thought process was, all right, I'd do a whole of Australia wide charity setup where I'd say lemonade stands and I target 12-year-old kids.
Okay.
I'd be like, young folk, here's my deal for you. I give you $500 to set up your lemonade stand around Australia. So you send it to me, I'll send you $500 in cash so you can have the funds to do it. And all I ask is, in return is, your return on investment. Like, I'd return on investment back in, like, you pay me like through my bank account, but you can do that in 2 years return or something like that. So you give me back $500 in like 2 years, but I'll give it to you in cash straight away. And so if I get enough people to sign up to this, then all of a sudden the bank terms won't even be spending money. I'm just giving it away as like a charitable donation, and then it'll come back to me.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Along the line. So that's one thing I thought. The other one was like, I'd open like a fast food shop, like a gyros shop or kebab shop. So it's all normally it isn't all cash, but a lot of times it can be cash, especially if people are out and about. Maybe at night time and you might have some cash. So that might not be happening as much anymore. You just have your cards out or something else. But maybe some of those food ones where you can almost even like lie about the quantity. So you're like, oh yeah, I had to throw out 20 kilos of meat, and then I just paid it in cash, or you pay cash for whatever else other products. That's where my mind went to. But I'd leverage the young society of Australia.
Yeah, I mean, like, the problem really is, I'd just be very, very cautious about the traceability. So, like, even if you're giving out 500 to all these kids, they would probably, like, the police at some point, they notice the marked bills, they know it's all these 12-year-olds, and they're like, oh, what do all these 12-year-olds have in common? Lemonade stand. Bam, they're onto your one. So, yeah, you definitely need to be very creative. I do like the idea, though, of spreading it out, because mine was, requiring me to just be in Brisbane. And
my next one, though, like, the only other one I thought of, like, there's a crucial bit that I couldn't figure out, which was I would draw a picture of my own face. I'd create a Nifty for it, and I would set it up for $1 million. Like, you can buy for $1 million. But my linking part would be like, oh, how do I get that cash into Ethereum to then buy it? And then it'd be like super untraceable. It'd gone. But it's like that leap there. It made me think. I was like, man, it actually would be really hard. Like, if those big criminal syndicates, like, it must be hard to really flush all that money.
Yeah. Actually, we'll get onto that in a sec. But the art, I think that's a good way. So doing some sort of artistic thing with it, because it will draw in people because of the value of it. Like, you've inherently got this value in these nodes, but they're sort of like dodgy in a way, so you really don't want that being traced. So yeah, making like I paying some sort of like mosaic or sculpture or origami person to create, origami out of these 500.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
And then, setting up a museum or exhibit or something.
And it's like, it's $1 million museum.
Yeah.
And then charge people for entry.
Charging people to come in.
And no one will suspect it because you're not making any, like, you're not actually actively using them.
Yeah, exactly. So the police, like, aren't, seeing these bills getting marked, spreading out throughout the system.
So a couple of years' time when you see, like, the Mere Mortals Museum
of
origami, it's not because of this. It's not from this. So
it's not because I like origami.
Yeah, no, it's not because of that.
It's not because I picked up that skill.
What were you going to say about the criminal flushing?
Yeah, just the criminal gangs and how clever they need to be. I've read a couple of books. One was, I think it was have you heard of the movie Catch Me If You Can?
I've heard of the movie, yes.
I believe that's based off of, I want to say Frank Abagnale, something like that. And there's another one, or maybe there's the one I'm thinking of, where it was a guy who, back when the telephone system was like really starting to pick up, he was able to, you could sort of speak codes into it.
Yeah.
Or a certain frequency or noises, and it would get you into the back system behind the actual networks. And so he used this to, well, obviously just get like free phone calls, and like, oh, how much trouble can you do with that? He got into so much trouble with that, man. This dude was like getting chased by the FBI and all this sort of stuff. The other one was another book. I can't remember what that's called, but it was about a guy who pretended to be a pilot, and so he just started.
I have heard this one.
There was always an extra seat in the pilot's deck, essentially, for a layover pilot who needs to get to another destination, and so he would sort of just sit and catch all of these free flights everywhere. It's like, yeah, once again, getting into a lot of trouble. I would
not want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Good.
All right.
Okay.
So I wanted to tell you
yours,
about my story. So this, I would say, is the most bizarre park people yet. I've met some.
You get some bizarre park people.
I've met some people there. I mean, Brendan, obviously, that dude's pretty bizarre. I've met Miguel Santana, bizarre in an
amazing way.
Yeah, in an amazing way. I've met a couple of COVID deniers there. I've met just some really chilled people as well. But these ones are really up there. So I'm going to call them the stoner nerds. So I'm just chilling at the park, doing my thing, doing some handstands. No one's there. As usual, it's just me on a Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. And along come these two guys, and they come into the basketball court right next to it. And immediately I'm like, oh, they're going to play some basketball. They've got a basketball with them. No, they go right into the corner near me. And you can sit anywhere there, but they gravitate
right
towards the corner. And they start lighting up some joints, having a smoke. I was like, sort of coming towards my exercise area, but it's not too bad. Like, I'm not coughing and spluttering and whatnot. But to describe them, I would say a ginger John Lennon and generic chubby curly head.
Okay.
So they were both probably, let's just say, early to mid 20s.
Okay.
And so they arrive. They started to smoke and eat Cheetos in the corner. That's kind of a stoner
pretty
nerd thing
typical.
to do.
Yep.
The ginger John Lennon had. So you know how I wore my sort of Mark Twain straw hat for a couple of videos? He had a proper straw hat and wasn't wearing it ironically like I was. It was more like, yeah.
It was like this is my outfit.
This is my headwear. So they proceeded to do that. So they started eating Cheetos and then they smoke. Then they started smoking the Cheetos. So
what?
One dude was lighting the Cheetos on fire and then trying to smoke it. And then eating the smoked Cheeto, even though it just burned. And the Cheetos themselves, they actually burn. It was like,
what?
The flame was coming off of the Cheetos. So
people,
if you're ever in an emergency and you got a bag of Cheetos, you need some fire. You
bet them up. Bet them up and burn the leaves.
You're dying of hypothermia. Burn up your
burn the Cheetos and put them in your
Cheetos. He then asked his friend, hey, try this burnt Cheeto. And the friend's like, nah, I'm all good. A minute later, hey man, you really need to try this burnt Cheeto. Hands it to him. The guy throws it behind him. A couple of minutes pass by. Man, these burnt Cheetos, dude. And he did it probably like 5 times, and his friend every time just said the same thing. No, I don't want to.
I'm not gonna try it. No.
Fucking stoners, man. Bloody stoners. I want to ask you, have you? So, I would say our group isn't really. And never got into the stoner community.
No.
Yeah, I would say of our friends, probably most of them have not even tried weed at all, or marijuana, or the hash, or the ganj, whatever you want to call it. And I've seen this in some people, though, is they get really obsessed with smoke, and blowing the smoke out of their mouths. Man, check this out. Just watching them going like, how is this interesting to you? They'll blow smoke out of their mouth.
How baked were they at that point?
I think they were like, yeah, dude. I think they must have been like already at a good level, and then they were topping it up by being in the basketball court.
Yeah, okay. With some Cheetos.
Yeah, with some Cheetos. With some fireball Cheetos. Just doing what they want. So then they brought the b-balls out. Okay, they're actually going to do something. They're going to play. Maybe I judged them wrong. They're not, because stoner nerds, you wouldn't expect them to play b-ball. We'll see what happens.
What do they do?
Well, one of them, so bloody Ginger John
John Lennon.
Ginger John Lennon, Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer. He, of course, he's like Tom Sawyer and Mark Twain. He's going barefoot. So he's playing basketball. They start doing a bit of one-on-one, and then they rope in these 2 other kids who are there. 2-on-2 now. Within 2 minutes, I just hear this, yeah! And what he has done is he wasn't even getting the ball. He was going to get another smoke or a drink from his Gatorade or whatever.
Yeah.
And he somehow kicked his foot into the ground and tore off a piece of skin like 4 layers deep. I could see it from,
Oh.
and 10 meters away. It was like a 20-cent coin. This white
Damn.
20-cent coin sitting on the ground. And he's like, oh, shit, oh. Gets out of smoke, starts smoking. Dollar paid away. And needless
Wow.
to say, he is out of the game. And the other ginger curly, the generic chubby kid,
Chubby.
he's like full of talk, man. He's talking to these 2 other, I would say kids. So these were like teenagers. He's like, I'll take you on. Man, he was just like you playing basketball. I didn't see a single shot go in the entire time. He was just shooting. He was using his bulk magnificently. I will say that.
He was protecting the ball.
He was
well.
doing good. Probably a bit of traveling, but he's giving his best.
Like, he's had plenty of cheetahs. This guy having a cheetah, right? Yeah, he's had lots of smoking cheetahs, man. He's probably on another. He was like, oh man, I'm on Mars.
That would be his basketball name, Smoking Cheeto. Anyway, so just watching, like, it was just entertaining watching these two as I'm
trying to work out.
As I'm working out. It's like I could go on Instagram, but I've got like a show here. These guys, they probably deserve their own show. So getting to my immortal moment, I just want to say, like, man, I don't think I could ever see you being a stoner. Me,
No.
I could sort of, potentially someday down the road. I'm sort of into meditation. I'm sort of into, like, relaxing, more of a chilled out guy. But man, I
wouldn't coexist in the same space of what that means.
The paradox is too great. It would break the universe.
It would break the universe. It reminded me, actually, you brought up Brendan. So Brendan put an Instagram post today where he said, for him, he just really enjoys doing his handstands and then like enjoying being in the sun like a lizard. He compared himself to it. It was kind of like, so it's him laying in the sun basically and saying like, oh, he really enjoys that. And yeah, to each own, like I kind of know now sort of who Brendan is, and that totally makes sense. But yeah, like I couldn't imagine myself like that at any day point in time. Even if I was like deadly sick, I think I'd still be like, no, something's got to happen today that I've got to go and do something or feel like being productive in whatever that means to me. So imagine a day where I'm just baked eating Cheetos at the corner of a basketball court. Nah, that wouldn't I don't know, that wouldn't occur. I'd have to have like a decent hour game of basketball where I miss all the baskets but still think it landed really well. So no, crazy. Okay, I've got my second theoretical here.
Okay,
second theoretical.
Hit me up.
Still, are you ready to be a criminal? So we've talked maybe a little bit similar to this, but I want to put some specifics into it and get your thoughts again. So you go and commit. So the $1 million, you've been given the bag of $1 million, but now let's just say it's a bag of $1 trillion, right? $1 trillion.
It's a big bag, man.
It's a lot of money. And
I need to work out. I need to work out for 10 years just to be able to carry that money home.
So let's just say it's $1 trillion in a hard drive, something like that, right? So it's like digital assets. But someone spots you, so someone sees it, that's happened, and they go, and they call the cops, and they think you've stolen $1 trillion from the Australian government, let's just say. You've taken it from the Australian...
So it's $1 trillion?
It's $1 trillion, right? So they are going to send everything after you, because they're like, we are going to get this dude.
Yeah.
Now, you can't do... Like, even if you dropped the $1 trillion bag on the ground and left it...
You're screwed.
They're still coming for you. Like, there's no matter what. You have 48 hours of hiding to do. Where do you hide? You have 48 hours to hide away, to kind of be like, the whole of the government is looking for you. So they've got every single resource possible
so
to find you.
Can I sort of escape Australia before this happens? Or
No leaving Australia.
No leaving Australia.
No leaving Australia. No leaving Australia, but you got 48 hours. So in 48 hours, so if you can survive 48 hours without being found, they'll grant you some immunity. They'll figure out that, actually it wasn't you, but you got 48 hours. If they find you, it's a death on sight action.
Okay, wait. So I have to hide for 48 hours, or I get 48 hours to hide?
No. So you have to hide for 48 hours.
Yeah.
And if like a police...
Okay, so from like the very moment I touch the bag.
Like the very moment you touch the bag, if like a policeman sees you or someone else, you've got to shoot on sight. Like notice, like you will be killed on demand. But if in 48 hours you survive, then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And it's like right now, where you're sitting right now, like a bag gets dropped right now. It's whatever it is time right now. You got 48 hours. You go till Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
What's doing?
Okay. Well, immediately I'm leaving everything that I have right here, and I'm thinking about survival at this. If it's a hard drive, I'll bring it with me. If it's something,
if it's portable,
I'll bring it with me. Like I'm not gonna.
Not gonna leave $1 trillion behind.
Yeah, no. That's coming. I mean, yeah. Look, if the government after that still wants the money, then they can have it.
Then they can have it. Yeah.
If they're like just so impressed with my hiding skills after
they give you the $1 trillion,
then they're like, oh yeah,
sure, have it.
Some. Everything is getting dropped, so cameras, wallet, phone, all that shit. I'll take the cash out of my wallet. I'll take the cash. That could come in useful. All that gets left here, and I just run as quickly as I can to my car and hope that the police aren't already blocking me off. I get in my car, and I would probably drive to our apartment, because I don't think I really have that listed under any of my stuff.
Gotcha,
I always, like, my mail is
a
always
little bit unlisted. It's a little bit unlisted. They can't really locate you there.
But
easily.
What I'm doing there, I'm grabbing some clothes, I'm grabbing all the food that's in the pantry. Sorry, Juan, I'm stealing all your shit.
Oh, no.
I'm not that even... to be honest, man, I don't even need food 48 hours.
You could I was going to say just fast for 48 hours.
Geez, I'm just thinking of hiding in a bush somewhere. Just going out to, like, the biggest natural forest I can find, parking my car there, and just going in.
Just walking around 48 hours?
Yeah, well, not even walking around... because that, I think, would potentially
So you would risk being spotted on the road by police cars and, like, all the highway cameras, everything checking for your license plate.
Yeah.
Because your license plate would be linked to you.
Yeah, I'd have to.
You'd risk it for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I'm walking through the suburbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it got me thinking when I posted to myself. I thought, okay, I'll be like, say, in this exact position, because my one was to go. Again, I'd leave everything behind, but obviously I've got no cash. So I'd leave everything behind but my go-kart, right? Okay. So I'd leave everything but the go-kart, and then I'd take a train ride all the way up to Caboolture, like as far north as I could.
Yeah.
And then I would, at that point, walk it to somewhere like Rainbow Bay or somewhere up on the coast, somewhere in the beach area, and then find some dunes and just chill out. Like, I just go in and, as you say, 2 days of eating can be done. I'd take the hard drive with me, and I'd just chill out in the dunes for wherever, just kind of like laying low.
I think we do need to maybe take into account, though, if they're chucking everything at us, so your go-kart thing, they'd probably find
will. They'll track that, and that's what I'm saying. They'd get me to a point, and then I would walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking driving at that point would be too risky. Like, everything being found for you, they would have, and they're like, if they know your location, you started here.
Yeah.
They'll have some helicopters and shit on you. Minutes.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the nearest real big national forest is that I could feasibly hide in for a while. But I was going to say, but what if they just, they've got everything. So they've got chopters up there with infrared, heat cameras looking down. This is where I would maybe say, safety in numbers. If I'm hiding in a forest and they're using, heat sensing and dogs and
they're
shit.
going to find you.
There's a reasonable chance that they could get their shit together within 24 hours to be like, hey, he's in this forest. They'd probably figure that out. Can I hide in a forest for 24 hours with dogs and, helicopters flying above and all that sort of stuff? I'm not getting very far in the forest, so yeah.
Actually, my only other thing that I would say, because we're sitting right here, is, I don't know if not many people from Brisbane know this, but you know that you can go into the Brisbane old tunnels, Brisbane, what do you call them? They used to like essentially pump a lot of the Brisbane
like the
liquid,
sewage,
like a sewage system, and they're just like out on the open. Not that you see them too easily, but you can walk into them for kilometers. Because I know, mate, I know Super Tony. He used to do that a lot, and you can just go in. There's lots of bats and stuff like that. Most people in Brisbane don't know that that's down there. So potentially you could go and do that and go for a bit of a run down to one of these pipes and just live down there for 2 days.
Yeah.
A little bit unknown. The other one, the only thing I could think of though, would be in a similar vein to you. I'd run in one direction, get cash out, like $2,000 worth of cash, something random like that. Then drop everything at that point there, or like leave it somewhere else, and then run to a hotel, and then be like, I want 2 nights stay. And then you give them a fake name. I've got no ID. Like, I've only got this cash or whatever, and then just stay the night and for 2 nights, and then no one knows your name. You're hiding away. You're locking the door.
See, I don't even think you can get by hotels like that nowadays. I think they
need some sort of check-in.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna let people ponder. If you out there think
there was one other thing I was thinking, which was like, just accept the fact you're gonna die. So maybe I should just indulge like my wildest fantasy
With $1
or
trillion.
whatever. So I go to the cheesecake shop and just have a ball there.
Well,
Go to, I don't know, like the brothel. There's how many brothels are there in Queensland? I think we said 28, I believe.
Okay.
How many
all of them.
How many brothels can I hit up within 48 hours?
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about was, we didn't give very malevolent answers, but one thing you could say is, well, I've got $1 trillion. Hit up your local, bikie gang or something else like that, like gang, and be like, I will give you $1 billion transfer right now if you protect me.
Yeah.
And then you have like this massive civil war just beginning in Australia. It's just like gangs across the world versus Australian government to try to protect you. You could do that. I think you could do that.
Honestly, like
that's probably the best likely scenario. I don't know how you're going to contact them here though.
Yeah, yeah.
You start screaming out, go to the nearest
Where's the
Lambo.
bikies at? Maybe we're giving too much credit to the Australian government though. We don't even know if there's a FBI version of them. What if it is just one?
They do have ACO. They do have ACO, which is Australian Security Intelligence Office.
Yeah, but what if it's just actually like one yobbo, one yobbo in a really fancy hat, 2 yobbos sidekicks in like fancier hats, but
yeah, look,
and then we're just
I reckon
hiding out in the.
To be honest, though, I reckon
shit.
they would get you so fast on the phone, it would be like ridiculous.
Yeah, no, you'd have to get.
You'd almost like at they would just know your location like straight up, and then you just go from there. They like freeze all your accounts, whatever else.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, me immortals out there, how would you escape for 48 hours? It's actually an incredibly hard thing to do. Like I don't think it's almost doable in this day and age. Maybe back in the day, like 100 years ago. I think you could have done it,
dude.
But now,
I'm reading so many books of that laughable things. Like the guy I just mentioned, getting onto planes.
Right.
He just had to dress up in a captain's outfit, say his name, a fake name, and get on the plane. That's all he had to do, and he was in the cockpit. He could have killed anyone. Done a 9/11 whenever he wanted.
That doesn't happen anymore. So me immortal. That's pretty much from Meanderings. We've got nothing else. If you want to hear some other of the funny, more lighthearted stuff, of course, tune in. Go and check out all the other content that we've been putting out for Meanderings. If you are checking out on YouTube and you go, oh, there's only like 6 episodes here. What the hell? You can find them in the playlist. You can have a look in the playlist. They're out there. They're just unlisted. Why did we do that? Look, there's just a lot of effort to be reposting it. If you're listening on the audio, however, you're golden. You're golden. You're loving it. You're enjoying it. You've already told 3 of your friends. You're going to tell 1 more about this particular episode and about how you are also going to become criminals. But if you're listening from the police force, none of this will actually be acted out. Anyways, folks, that's all from me, from the Immortals, from Karen as well. One out.
Karen out.
Boom.
Money, money, money.